China is aggressively recruiting current and former NATO fighter pilots to train its military, leveraging Western expertise to enhance the PLA's combat readiness. Five Eyes intelligence officials believe these efforts are helping to advance China's air power capabilities and more effectively counter Western military tactics. In June, the US, UK, Canada, and Australia sounded the alarm over China's persistent targeting of NATO pilots, revealing that private flying schools worldwide are being used to train PLA Air Force and Navy aviators. Yet NATO officials have been aware of China's efforts to recruit American and European pilots for some time. So why are intelligence agencies sounding the alarm now? The latest warnings suggest that China is changing the way it targets NATO personnel to evade detection, while dramatically expanding the scope of its recruitment campaign. In particular, flight training centers and other institutions with invisible links to the PLA, often located in third countries such as South Africa, have been ramping up their efforts to onboard NATO military specialists in recent months. Companies with covert links to the PLA are also extending employment offers with bumper pay packets. China's highest priority targets are military pilots, flight engineers, and air operations center personnel. The Five Eyes partners say China is also targeting technical experts with insights into Western military tactics, techniques, and procedures. A former US Marine pilot, Daniel Duggan, is currently fighting extradition from Australia to the US on charges of arms trafficking and money laundering for allegedly training Chinese military pilots to conduct aircraft carrier landings at a flying academy in South Africa. Duggan has consistently denied these allegations and branded them politically motivated. In a sign of how serious the issue has become, at least 120 US and NATO officials gathered in Germany this January to discuss the PLA's recruitment drive for alliance-trained military personnel. China's growing appetite for air combat expertise is alarming policymakers in Western capitals at a time when the geopolitical environment in the Indo-Pacific is rapidly deteriorating. Some analysts think the odds of direct conflict erupting in the region are higher than ever. In particular, tensions are rising in the East and South China Seas as aggressive confrontations between China, the US, and its allies reach new highs. Intercepts of US aircraft are increasing, while direct encounters at sea are starting to spiral around the Second Thomas Shoal as the Philippines pushes back against China's unilateral territorial claims in the region. The modernization of Beijing's armed forces is compounding these concerns. China's defense spending will expand by 7.2% in 2024, its most significant increase in 5 years, pushing its official annual defense budget to $231 billion. Most analysts think Beijing spending is much higher due to hidden, off-budget outlays linked to research and development and dual-use technologies. The US government and the American Enterprise Institute put actual Chinese defense spending north of $700 billion, although these estimates are contested. Whatever the actual number, China's multi-year boost to defense spending has created the world's largest navy by number of surface ships, and soon to be the world's largest air force, according to statements by the outgoing head of US Indo-Pacific Command, Admiral John Aquilino.
Again, with the capabilities that the PRC are producing, delivering, and continue to support, their numbers and their capability and capacity are increasing. That's a conscious decision by the CCP to support a 7.2% defense increase despite an economy that is on the decline. And I agree, we are at a point where the capability being produced does have a quality all of its own as it applies with capacity. It is the world's largest Navy right now. It is soon to be the world's largest Air Force as they continue to produce.
These developments are fueling uncertainty across the Indo-Pacific and increasing security concerns around China's targeting of NATO pilots. So what does the People's Liberation Army Air Force and PLA Navy Aviation stand to gain from access to NATO military personnel? Above all, inside knowledge of American and European flying tactics would offer a much-needed boost to China's pilot training programs and the air combat readiness of its constituent units. Xi Jinping has called for PLA Air Force training to focus on improving combat capability, while urging the service to accelerate its transformation into a leading air power. China's Air Force has historically played second fiddle to PLA ground forces. Until recently, most training programs and scenarios have been highly scripted, with pilots given little autonomy or freedom to act independently. But things are starting to change. China's 2018 Defense White Paper called for the PLA Air Force to transform from a territorial defense to a force capable of offensive and defensive operations. These changes are filtering through the Air Force in the form of updated training programs. Since 2011, the PLA Air Force has held an annual air-to-air combat training exercise known as the Golden Helmet, which pits the best Air Force and naval aviation pilots against each other in various warlike simulations. The Golden Helmet competition has evolved significantly to reflect actual combat conditions over the last few years, according to research from the China Aerospace Studies Institute. Pilots now face fewer restrictions, allowing for more autonomous decision-making and realistic combat scenarios. Today, a major focus of the Golden Helmet is equipping Chinese pilots with the skills and experience to handle air-to-air encounters between different aircraft types. The PLA Air Force is closely studying international fighter aircraft, but it is unclear to what extent the force employs foreign fighter tactics during these training scenarios, or to what extent it understands NATO and Western air combat techniques. What is clear is that China needs insights into the West's approach to air combat if its pilots and fighter units are going to meet the Communist Party's geopolitical ambitions. The PLA Air Force pilots also need more experience dealing with complex threat environments. Details are difficult to come by, but recent analyses of China's Air Force have found little evidence of joint engagement zone training, involving multiple fighter assets, surface-to-air missile batteries, and radar units operating together in a single simulated battle space. Sophisticated knowledge from experienced NATO pilots and other specialists would help overcome these shortfalls. China will probably soon have the world's largest air force by total aircraft. It is now taking the steps necessary to ensure that its pilots, tactics, and operational readiness match the scale of the PLA's air and naval aviation arms. Targeting NATO pilots is just one part of this strategy.